Namaste, मेरा नाम Jenny है. Thanks for watching Doing Life with Jenny. Be sure to watch the video in the description box below first so that this one makes more sense. This is all about my dietary restrictions. And some of them are honestly restrictions, like I feel restricted by what I can and can't have. And then also some of it is based on preference. So firstly, I am vegan, and this is the part where it is 100% my preference. Is not like, oh my goodness, I can't eat that, how horrible. This is what I have chosen, and we'll make a video on a different day as to why and how I came about that. So if you're not clear on what vegan is versus vegetarian, vegans do not eat or use any kind of animal products. So even if there's an animal product in your lotion, we do not purchase that. No eggs, no dairy, obviously no meat, no fish. Nothing that has to do with animal products. The restrictive part is what is very complicated and annoying. And it has to do with Fodmaps, and I will link this book in the description box below. Fodmaps are some, I believe, carbohydrates that occur in sugars and some fibers. Yeah, that's correct. That are not digestible for some people. Thank goodness that I don't have to follow the entire Fodmap restrictive guide, shall we say. I only have to follow two, which are perhaps the worst two. I cannot have fructan, and I cannot have fructose. So let's start with fructose, the more commonly known of the two. It's obviously in high fructose corn syrup, which is in many things that you wouldn't even think would contain it, sometimes like bread. Why is there high fructose corn syrup in bread? Why does bread need any kind of sugar? I have no idea, but it's there. Also, fructose is found in fruit, especially apples and pears. Oh boy, do I miss apples, especially caramel apples in the fall time. There are some fruits I can have, and some, like, depending on the quantity. And fructose is in agave, which is usually a vegan honey substitute. It's also in honey, which isn't vegan anymore. In this book, it has each of the Fodmap categories, or carb or sugar categories, on different pages, and it has a list of what you should definitely avoid and what is safe and what might be questionable depending on the quantity. They do update this every so often as they learn more about this topic. Then with fructan, oh boy, fructan. This is in wheat, rye, barley, but it has nothing to do with gluten. It just gluten happens to be in those as well. So if you look for gluten-free, they're automatically wheat, barley, and rye free. It is in, did I say garlic? Garlic and onion. Garlic and onion are in everything. It is honestly almost impossible to avoid. So I try to look at the ingredients. You know, the ingredients at the top of the ingredient list are the ones that are most prevalent in the food, and then the ones towards the bottom just have a minute amount. And a lot of times it says less than 2%, and then garlic and onion will be in there, and that's fine. I don't think it bothers me. But it's also in beans, which as a vegan, beans are usually a go-to as a protein source, but I unfortunately cannot have those. Fructan is also in other foods, but those are the ones that are hardest to avoid and that affect me the most. What is difficult with the fructan and fructose-free diet is that a lot of the resources have contradictory information. For example, this resource says I should not have sourdough bread, and other resources say that sourdough bread is fine even though it contains wheat, because of whatever fermentation happens makes it more readily available for the intestines to digest or something of that nature. Basically, you have to be a biochemist to understand this. But it makes it very, very difficult to go out to eat. It's a little easier to eat at home, but still very, very difficult. There is a new product line that came out for food that is friendly for all of the Fodmap restrictions, not just fructan and fructose intolerance. It is quite expensive, but I will link their website below and we'll do a product review for them later on. Lastly, I want to recommend this book. Again, I'll link it in the description box, but thank goodness it has information and recipes for both vegan and Fodmap avoiders all in one. So it has a list of ingredients that you should have, and different recipes, sauces. Oh my goodness, it's so hard to find a sauce without high fructose corn syrup, without garlic or onion, so they have good recipes for that in here as well. And just ideas how to mix up your diet, since it can be pretty restrictive. But I highly recommend this book. Okay, hopefully your diet isn't as restricted as mine, but I know it can be difficult even if you just have one dietary restriction. Like if you have celiac, like you have to really, really be careful with cross-contamination. At least for me, even if I consume a little bit of wheat, I'm going to be totally fine. It's just if I eat like a larger portion of one of these things. Okay, thanks for watching. Ciao.